In this lab, what we're going to look at is we're going to create spread plates on just some nutrient agar. When we create a spread plate, this is an aseptic technique where we're going to want to transfer one type of bacteria onto the plate. And when we do the spread plate, we want it to cover the entire plate. We want it to create what we call a lawn, okay, where the whole plate would be covered with bacteria. Now, there's a number of reasons we would do this, but one of the main reasons is to do a type of disc diffusion method to see how susceptible this bacteria that we're using is to certain kinds of disinfectants, antiseptics, or also antibiotics, okay? And so we're going to utilize our aseptic technique of transferring the bacteria, but then also using our aseptic technique with our forceps to transfer discs, but these discs are going to have different chemicals present this time. All right, and then we're going to review what those look like, what those plates look like after that disc diffusion takes place. So the first thing I want to do is set up these spread plates. So that's what we're going to look at first. Now, to create a spread plate, we are going to use a cotton tip applicator. We're going to use a sterile one, so if you'll notice this is not opened yet, and we're also going to use a bacteria. In this case, we're going to use E. coli. All right, we can tell it's growing in here due to the cloudiness that is present. We're going to use it off of a broth. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our cotton tip applicator. We're going to open this, but we're going to only open it to where it's not going to have the actual cotton part exposed yet, okay? We're going to take this out and we are going to use this with our E. coli. All right, so we're going to open this up. We're going to take our applicator and we're going to put it in here into the liquid. This is going to pick up the bacteria. Now, we don't want to drip, and so we're going to rub it across the inside of the tube, getting any excess fluid off, okay? All right, so now I have E. coli on my applicator. Now I'm going to put the lid back on. Now, what I'm going to do is create this spread plate. Now, when I do this, I'm going to take my plate and I'm going to take this applicator and I'm going to go back and forth across here. Now, I have to be careful not to puncture the agar. So I'm going to go back and forth until about halfway through the plate. Then I'm going to rotate it, okay, about a quarter turn, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go back and forth about halfway through the plate. I'm going to rotate it again, and I'm going to do the same thing, going back and forth. This is going to allow me to cover the entire plate. And last but not least, one more quarter turn. Okay, so now this should be completely covered. Now, to make sure I have a really good lawn, I'm also going to take this and I'm going to go across the edge. Okay, making sure that I've covered every part of the plate. Okay, and then I'm going to put it back down. Now, I can't just throw this in the trash because it has E. coli present. I'm going to use a biohazard tin. Inside of this little canister, there is a type of fluid in here that's a germicide. This is going to allow it to kill the bacteria. So I'm going to stick it in there and it's going to allow that to be killed. All right, so this is what we're looking at for a spread plate. So let's take a closer look at this.
All right, so let's take a closer look at the spread plate. We have our plate. We're going to take our cotton tip applicator out. We're going to then place it into the solution with the bacteria, in this case E. coli. We are going to make sure we don't have any excessive fluid that's dripping, so dripping doesn't take place. So we're going to press it across the side of the container. We're then going to take that cotton tip applicator and we are going to run it back and forth, okay, hitting like kind of the sides of the Petri dish. And we're going to go about halfway down. Once we get halfway down, we're going to do a quarter turn and we're going to do the same thing again. All right, we're going to then do another quarter turn and we're going to go back and forth. And then the last quarter turn there. Now at this point, once we get halfway through, we should have covered the entire plate. Now to make sure we don't have any gaps in our lawn, we can go around the sides and we can also hit up any other spaces we think we might not have gotten the first time. We then need to make sure that our cotton tipped applicator goes into the bacterial side or germicide because it cannot go in the regular trash can.
Okay, so that's how we create those spread plates. Now remember, we always want to mark our plates to make sure that we know what they are, and so I'm going to put my initials on this. I'm also going to say that it's E. coli because I know what I'm growing on here, okay? So I'm gonna put my initials and I'm gonna put that it's E. coli, okay? And I'm also, because I'm going to use this for the disc diffusion, I'm going to take my plate and I'm going to put it into fourths, like that. It doesn't have to be exact, but I'm going to put it into fourths. And I'm going to do this on both plates. All right, and so now I have some sections that I'm going to utilize here. All right, and so we're going to end up utilizing these plates in the next video where we're going to look at disinfectants and we're also going to look at antibiotics.